Hello, everybody. Today we're going into Gur's room. Gur Streams, if you don't know, is a YouTuber that does sort of random conversations. And this isn't really a rumble. I'll say this up front. This is more a discussion among a lot of different atheists. Gur attracts a lot of the really good good thinkers to his stream. It's actually really good. And of course, the links will be down in below for his channel, and of course the full stream that he did, which was a long one, I think. But I wanted to put this up as kind of like a palate cleanse. And I do apologize, I haven't uploaded things. I took a break for the last couple of days, but I wanted a palate cleanse after sort of Praise's room. And we will get back to that because I've already got stuff lined up that I took from in there, which will be highly amusing. But this is just sort of a conversation about a few different things, topics in the Bible and the way that they're interpreted, and a couple of very strange positions that some of the Christians hold on what actually is God. Including an inanimate object. So, this one's sort of just a nice conversation between a few people that sort of, are just reviewing the Bible and general topics. Hope you enjoy, and I'll have more for you soon.
Mark, if you want to join the stream,
sleeping.
I mean, I really don't have to, but God, I want to so badly. Mark, if you want to join the stream, I'll let you in.
I do too. I got a headache, so you're not the only one, but I'm having a good time. These painkillers are working great.
Like I said, I just bombed Praise for you. Oh, thank you. What's up, Marky Mark?
Oh, same old. I watched the thing. Jamie. Has anyone seen that?
I am sorry, but it cut out on my end. I did not hear that.
Oh, sorry. I saw the debate between Snake was right and Jamie today.
What was the debate about? I did not see that.
The algae, multicellular algae, which was I keep forgetting the name. It's Chlamydia something Reinhardti. That's basically what it was about. And Jamie, I've only met him once, but he is shaping up like he uses the same Kent Hovind arguments. He even used the same presentation with the box, up beside him with all of his refutations and slides up while you're talking, kind of thing. So he's exactly the same.
Well, why would they neither one of those people strike me as anyone who knows anything about anything outside of theology.
Ken Hovind and Jamie.
Yeah.
Or Snake was right. Snake knows a fair bit.
Well, no, Snake, I would imagine, actually knows stuff. But Jamie, I don't know Jamie all that well. All I know is he's all about soul sleep and shit. So that's all I know about him. Jamie Russell, right? Good guy. Don't get me wrong. He strikes me as a good guy.
Jamie from Studio 214 or something like that. I can't remember the name of his channel because I just immediately forgot it.
That's fair enough. Oh, fuck.
I think it's Jamie Russell.
Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong goddamn button. Some other shit was playing and I couldn't hear anything. No, okay, I was thinking of different people. No, Snake was right. Now, Jill was in the side chat earlier saying that he's going to be debating Snake was right, or as he put it, Snake was wrong.
Oh, that's clever. That's clever.
I know, right? And guess what the topic is?
Slavery in the Bible.
God damn it, you stole all my thunder. Yes, that's what it was. And I'm like, oh my God.
You said, guess what it is. Like, I thought that was an invitation to guess. And that's a pretty...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm just thinking, how many times do people got to bury this fucking issue? Yes, the Bible supports slavery. It's so fucking simple.
It's pretty obvious.
Even if it didn't, it still tells you that you can own two women as property.
Right.
And you can still have multiple wives. It's like, why give men such a dominant role over a woman? Especially when, I'm sorry.
It's like it was written by a bunch of men.
Right.
The argument seems to be that if it's not like chattel slavery, if it's not the same slavery as sort of antebellum South, right, then it's not slavery. And it's like, no, that's not how we define slavery. I'm really sorry, but it's just not.
No, it's indentured servitude. Yeah, but you're a deity. You know what this indentured servitude will lead to, and you know what the words of slave and having someone do work for you as your concubine and all these words that you are using.
Yeah.
You know how that's going to be perceived in the future. Why would a divine being allow that?
The UN acknowledges that indentured servitude is a form of slavery. So basically, they define slavery. Like, this is how modern people define slavery. It's when your rights are owned by somebody else, right? So not even necessarily you, but your rights. Like your right to go and find other work, or your right to freedom, or your right to bodily autonomy, or when your rights are owned and can be transferred to somebody else. So that's how we define slavery. So it's kind of, indentured servitude isn't antebellum slavery, but it is still a form of slavery. Like the
right. Exactly.
What was the medieval? The feudal system had it in the like they had bondsmen and stuff. That's a form of slavery. You own the rights to that person where they actually reside, work, and live. It's still a form of slavery. Like, I'm really sorry, but your idea of slavery is just wrong. I'm sorry.
and the mental gymnastics that so many Christians go through and put themselves through, it's like, wow, your talents would be so better spent doing something that's productive. I mean, I don't want anyone to be dishonest, but my God, if you're this, well, I wouldn't even say they're talented when it comes to doing mental gymnastics, but my God, like the stubbornness could go to such better causes.
The contortions, right? The contortions.
Yes, the contortions.
It's like when somebody says, Stalin's an atheist kind of thing, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean, he was, sure. It would be like us saying, well, yeah, but in the way that you say atheist, he had sort of a let's not contort ourselves trying to excuse something. Stalin was an atheist,
and it's kind of like when it comes to they can say Stalin was an atheist, and we can just simply say, well, the KKK were a bunch of Christians. Like, it doesn't have any bearing on the validity of the claims of any given religion. It's just like, okay, these are bad people who used a book that you believe in and derived authority out of it, and proclaimed it as their proof of condoning what they already were doing.
And they like to take out the context of hey, they keep on forgetting that they're talking about God. Oh, slavery, it's just indentured servitude. That's not what the people were doing back in the times. You got to think about the times. I'm sorry. This is a God that's supposed to be consistent throughout all points in time.
It depends on your stance as a Christian. It really does, because some believe in moral absolutism, so sort of there's no change in morals. Some just believe in sort of an objective morality. So basically, whatever God says is objective is objective. I'm not sure how that works, but it really does depend on what you're arguing for, Corey.
Yeah, I'm just talking in the general sense.
I get
if they want to go into philosophy and they want to bring up other points, I'm willing to go and do that. But genuinely, they just forget that their being should know and should have written this book. It should not have anything that's wrong in it. It should stay consistent. Otherwise, the words just, I don't understand the point of saying that, a divine being demands you to believe in them and then tells you, you know what? A couple pages later, you don't have to listen to what I say. That just doesn't sound.
I'll put it to you this way, Mark, since you weren't here. this Christian Jeffy KC was talking about how the Quran commands Muslims to stone non-Muslims, and I was like, okay, let's look at the Bible, because I agree the Quran is full of shit, right? But Deuteronomy 17 says to stone anyone who does evil, and it doesn't specify what evil is, other than like if somebody does something that I don't like, stone them to death.
I think there's a part in there when it comes to jihad, when it comes to non-believers and purification and stuff like that. But yeah, most moderate Muslims don't really kind of like hold to that. So,
and most moderate Christians don't hold to this. That's the whole point.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's all about reconciling by downing down some things that are, you know, obviously there in their scriptures, by somehow like holding onto their fluffy God.
Yeah,
well,
and
the funniest
that's
thing
what
I've seen praised. Sorry, the funniest thing I've seen praised to is accused, like say, "Oh, but you're doing presentism," and it's like, well, yeah, that's moral relativity for you. Like, you know, you can't. Presentism relies on moral relativity. That's the whole point. Like, if you're accusing someone of presentism,
well, presentism is a literary. The thing about presentism is it's actually a literary. It's actually it's more of a literary thing. It's not
there is
really
a historical context to it as well. Historians do,
but it's not. It's not necessarily a fallacy. There is a fallacy that relates that's more or less appropriate.
I think it's how you perceive.
Well, no, but historians generally avoid presentism. They avoid looking at past events through the lens of our modern understanding.
Yeah, because you're trying to get to the context, and you're trying to, exactly.
Right. Yep. Understand the thinking of the people who did these acts, not in a critical way, but in an understanding of their culture and the world that they lived in.
But so that's do both
that's
ways.
Moral relativism, right? That's basically saying, hey, we're not going to judge these people.
Yeah, that gets into that's subjective. Yeah, that's a cultural that's
right.
That's a cultural ethic.
You can't judge an ancient time through the lens of modern morality, basically.
Exactly.
I think you can.
You can compare.
Well, I mean,
you can compare. You can look at it. You can kind of go. Right. You can kind of go. Yeah, they were wrong for doing that, and they may have their intent. You know, for all intents and purposes, they thought they were doing it right, but then obviously today we know better. But then, okay.
Well, let's say I had a time machine. I'm in present time. I can go back and forth, and I could dictate to morality. Should my morality stay consistent? Should my morality stay consistent through this time?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we look at in Christianity. We got a spaceless, timeless being that knows the outcomes of present and future events. And so when you talk about a deity writing this book, it should be morally consistent throughout all history.
Right.
There should never be a point where bad things happen in the past and we can say, oh, that is wrong.
Well,
no.
And a good example of what you're talking about is like in Jeremiah 34, where God makes a new covenant with Israel to basically set all of your Hebrew servants, your Hebrew debt servants free, right? No more Hebrew debt servants, right? But then later on it says, oh, yep, and you agreed to this, but then you didn't do it, right? So that goes to what you're talking about, because in Leviticus 25 and Exodus, well, especially in Leviticus 25, that's that idea of having Hebrew debt servants and then the stipulations that are put upon that particular cultural normative, and then what happens with foreign slaves, you can own them for forever, that kind of thing. But now you see this shift in Jeremiah 34, where you don't see a change necessarily in the foreign slave stipulation, but you do see a change in that Hebrew debt servant thing. That's not supposed to happen anymore in Jeremiah 34.
Yes.
But Praise will just say, that's exactly what they're talking about. Those Hebrews are the foreigners, because Hebrews are Habiru. They're not Jews.
And then they
Jews.
changed the perspective to the people of the time and era. It
because-
doesn't matter about the people.
Yeah, praise kind of holds to that idea that the Hebrews. So whenever you see it in Exodus, where it talks about when you own a Hebrew slave that goes to the Hebrew were a group of like people that attached themselves to the Jews on the way out of Exodus. But everything in the narrative doesn't actually comport to that. Dr. Josh actually addresses that in his book. You know, did the Old Testament endure slavery, where they talk about
Good
that.
book, too, by
Looking
the
at
way.
looking into that and trying to reconcile that, and it just doesn't. Even Meredith Klein did not. He was like, no, those Hebrews are Jews.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And what you see now is that people literally cutting and cherry picking. This is the only way that they can make sense of certain things that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't want to just admit they don't want to admit that people have just been trying to basically figure things out since we've been around, and sometimes we fucked up in big ways, and then we learn better.
They cut out they picked and chose the parts of the Bible that they had.
Well, yeah, because they want
It used
to want to
so
glorify.
bigger.
Because far be it from human beings to ever try to ever think that ethical reasoning is something in and of ourselves. No, it has to derive from something outside of ourselves. Let's go to some other agent as being responsible for why it is that we can say now this is bad. But the thing is that that thing itself was saying it was okay way back then. So-
Oh, hello. There's my favorite person. Christ brings an obscene amount of weed. What a guy.
Christ brings a pecker.
Who is that? He was over on
I don't
Brothos.
know. He was just randomly dropped into a stream that I was doing and sort of, ranted and raved and stuff, and it was a fun old time. Actually,
streaming
the one
tonight?
hey?
Were you streaming tonight?
No, but I do a weekly
Oh.
stream. I go through Reddit's Am I the Arsehole? I think you know this girl. I go through.
No,
there
I wasn't
and
sure if
stuff,
that was
but-
tonight or not. That was my bad.
No. I'm visiting today. Okay. So the rebellious son, right? The drunken and lazy son. So we've got to stone him to death outside of the
Mhm.
the temple kind or the gates of the town kind of thing, and he's stoned to death. It clearly says there that the son has been rebellious and drunken and lazy and hasn't listened when they discipline him. So he's to be taken to the gates and stoned. And some people, not naming any names, will argue, oh no, he killed somebody. And it's like, how did you get that from what
because
it
they're
says
trying to
in the
reconcile.
text?
Yeah, they're trying to reconcile
Yeah.
that with Lex Talionis, where the crime and the damages or whatever has to be the punishment has to
Right.
be in equal ferociousness or I'm anyway
Veracity.
voracity to the crime that they committed. So now you have to think about this. You're like, so if a person's drunk and lazy, you're going to kill them? Like, that doesn't seem like Lex Talionis to me, because it's like,
Yeah.
well, how are you going to punish someone who's a drunk and lazy? Are they harming anyone?
Contortions that-
If you're a libertarian, though, Jay, it actually makes sense.
If you're a libertarian,
Right.
well,
It's more confusing.
Okay.
that
I don't
way.
know how that makes sense as a libertarian.
I don't know how.
I'm missing
They,
that.
they tend to have extremist views on like people who are lazy and drunk, right?
Oh, well, no, they just want more money.
Well,
They just want more money.
It's not wrong.
it's not
They don't
only
want 'em
people
dead,
that are
they want more
lazy.
money.
It's not only people that are lazy; it's people that work as well. Because the people that picked up sticks on the Sabbath was stoned to death as well. So they get
Exactly.
you coming and going. So you
Yeah.
can't be lazy. You can't be, a hard worker. You've got to be, just straight down the road. But again, the argument I've heard for that is, well, that person that picked up sticks also killed somebody. They had to, because they stoned them to death.
And that's
it's like-
still not equal representation, because someone who's committing murder, I don't think it's going to be in the same mind state
I think
as
the
the
word, I think,
person that they're killing.
yeah, I think I think a better word would be equal retaliation.
Well, it's like the eye for an
I
eye,
guess.
right? Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
Lex
thing.
Talionis.
And that still doesn't work, because if someone is mentally incapable of empathizing, you're not going to be mad at them for not giving you a hug or something, you know?
Oh, I've known people who get mad that if you don't give them a hug. I've known people who get mad if you don't send them
Really?
a thank you letter, a thank you card for Christmas
But
gifts.
that's not the norm. That's usually
That's
not
their
the norm.
that's their norm. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's not the necessarily a cultural norm.
So everybody's different. So just because someone kills another individual, I don't think at that point, I don't think that person's at that mental state. I do believe they should be punished, but at which point of how much of a punishment that person deserves.
Well, yeah, I think
What do you mean?
if there's
If
well, if
somebody
there's
kills
mental,
another person?
yeah, if there's murder involved where there's some kind of malice and intent, then that needs to be looked at. But
Right,
if somebody
yeah.
has a mental defect and they killed someone, then that also has to be looked at.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not sure how we got to, culpability under mental health, mental defect reasons.
No, not just defect reasons. I'm not
I just
saying
brought
that.
it up. I just brought it up as a
I mean,
as a variable. We don't have to dive into it. I brought it up as a variable.
Oh, okay.
true.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certainly circumstances which preclude
Sure.
you from being culpable, but
Yeah.
I mean, my point is it just doesn't mention any crime except for just picking up sticks or being drunken and stuff. Like, where are you getting the murder from?
Yeah, exactly.
I was just
Yep.
going back to one of your verses. If you want to clear up, for some clarity, I was just talking about another verse that you
alright.
brought up earlier.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Well, out of curiosity, Mark, did they give where they were getting that from? How they, for lack of a better term, exegeted that or exegeted that?
Exegeted it more like. Look, it yeah, so it was, I think, the eye for the eye, tooth for the tooth thing, and the punishments for murder in the verses kind of thing. So they were sort of saying, hey, the penalty for murder is death. The penalty
Mhm.
they got was death. So ergo, they must have murdered somebody, kind of thing, which is sort of affirming the consequence kind of stuff.
They're trying to do no, just because. Oh, no, not if it clearly
Yeah.
states. Not if it clearly states if a person does this, then death. Kind of,
Yes.
for lack of, in the most simplistic way. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's
Oh,
hard
it
to
was
reckon. That's a weird way of
baffling.
doing some. Yeah, that is baffling. I don't know how they do that.
Well,
either.
it was a weird person that gave it to me, so
What
No, there you
the
go.
world? That's kind of like a direct yes or no question.
Well, what was weird
It's-
to me on Praise's channel the other night was listening to a guy named Brandon, and then he had Dave was on there as well, and I guess Dave knows this Brandon person, and they're sitting there basically saying that the Bible, the KJV specifically, is a form of God.
What
book?
What?
I saw that.
It was the
I was
only.
in
It was the only.
Praise's room.
It was the only time I was actually rooting for Veckel in a conversation in my entire time knowing Veckel.
Was that a guy called Dave, and his name is News Unit something?
Well, it was both of them. It was Brandon first, and then Dave came in later. But Dave was basically in agreement with Brandon that yes, the KJV is the word of that is the actual word of God, and it has always been. So it's a form. It's God basically becoming the KJV is God humbling himself in a way to become the form of a Bible or the form of the Bible.
What the?
Because I was in Praises, and he was basically God is the book, and I'm like,
yes,
what the?
Yep.
And people said he's trolling, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Nope.
And
no,
I thought it was a troll.
Nope. He believed it, and then he tried doing it with Veckel, and then Veckel did it. Actually, I got to commend Veckel because Veckel stumped him because Veckel goes, okay, what was the Bible? Because Veckel kind of got him to kind of hold to the idea that Jehovah's Witnesses were, basically apostates, right? That's a false Christian belief. And then Veckel goes, what Bible did they use before the New American or I think it's the New American translation or something like that, because
Mhm.
the Jehovah's Witnesses were formed before that particular translation came out. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And he goes, they used the KJV. The Jehovah's Witnesses used the KJV Bible in order to establish their doctrine. So I don't know why you want to do that. And that was basically the sum of the conversation for and Brandon, it wasn't sinking into Brandon's head that the idea that this KJV translation of the Bible is a form of God would just, okay, how can that be used to formulate a false belief in that, or false knowledge in that God?
All right, that's just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean,
Yeah. I wrote a couple comments in there, which Praise actually appreciated, because he, like, one of the things was, I was like, because like Dave was like, anybody, he wrote something like, anybody, or he said something like, anybody wants to tell me that this is fucking idolatry is just, you can say something. And then I wrote something in the live chat like, this is akin to like worshiping the cross over Christ, theologically
right,
speaking.
exactly. Yeah.
You know what would get me to believe? If they could actually write the name of their deity, and then one day we go to the moon or some like system, and in their book it literally tells us, in this spot over here, look at this kilometer and you will see this name, and this is the name of this deity.
Yeah, and
Well,
I think, go ahead, Mark.
this sounds like one of the examples that they give you, kind of thing. If you looked up and saw it written in this, and it's like, yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll see what I believe after that. Why are these examples so ridiculous? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jay. I just wanted to say.
Oh no, it's all good. I was gonna kind of like tack onto something, but yeah, it's nothing. I think one of the things is that it predominantly what happens is when we get into these conversations is getting into the fundamental basis of how it is that you come to believe a God to exist in any way. Your beliefs and knowledge are based on mental states. So regardless of whatever we consider knowledge or belief, a lot of people will be of the idea that there's things that are regardless of whether or not we know them or not. But there seems to be some individuals out there that think that the only way that things are is if they're propositionally stated to be what they are. And that just doesn't seem to be the case. Propositions don't make things what they are. Propositions are a way of communicating to one another about what actually is, right? And sometimes those propositions can be made that don't actually comport to what actually is. And I think that is a fundamental hiccup that some of these Christians have. They're taking statements as truth or as actuality and not going, okay, where are you getting that from? And then going and then being a little bit more reductive and trying to figure out, oh, I need an example of that.
Well, I think another problem is they sort of take syllogisms that are valid and say, oh, because that's a valid syllogism, it has to be true.
Yeah, they fuck up validity with veracity. Yep.
Hey, Jay.
Or soundness, yeah. Like, it's not a sound one. Like,
yes,
just because something is valid, like logically valid, doesn't make it true. It has to be sound as well.
Yeah, that goes. Yeah, soundness goes to not only to the fact, to the structure. The validity goes to the structure of the argument. Veracity goes to everything that's part of that valid argument. So you can have just reiterating. Yeah. You're right, Mark. You can have a valid argument that doesn't mean there's veracity to it. What were you going to ask?
I think it is.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think it is.
Yeah, they do.
I was going to proposition you, Jay.
Uh-oh.
Woohoo!
I'm not.
I mean, sexually later, but that'll be in the DMs. But
okay.
I'm going to be. I just picked a big old fight with all the Christians over there, like Beckel, Jill, Praise, and Graham. And so I'm going to be, since they've been so rude and we're so cold to Bond when he, came out as a non-believer or whatever, I've decided to devote regular streams to breaking down their nonsense. And you seem to have a knack for doing that, especially logical fallacies. And I was wondering if you'd like to sit in every now and then and give me some feedback on
Yeah, I'll have to bone up. Yeah, and the thing with logical fallacies is sometimes when you sometimes have to think about it when people are making kind of like an informal argument. Informal arguments are like, well, there's this, and then blah 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 blah, and and then that leads to this, and then when you kind of have to look at those and then try to break them down, and there's so many logical fallacies that I even still get confused on. Like anyway, yeah, I'd be more than happy to get into that because I haven't done it in a while, and you don't just make sure you get it. Just if we do that, just make sure I haven't had any edibles.
Oh no, I want you to have edibles, but what I plan on doing, because they always claim I'm twisting their words, so I'm just gonna let the dumb shit that they say play, and then I'll stop it and break down the nonsense. But I want them to be crushed by the weight of their own nonsense.
Good luck. Good luck.
The power of Christ compels you.
Just
The power of
don't.
Christ compels you.
Just remember,
nervous.
don't ever show your face, Will, or next thing you know, your face is going to be expanded and put on a fat body and put up on a wall, and next thing you know, you're the next Skylar Fiction to them. You're the new Humpty Dumpty. You're in the new.
Oh no, I don't mind if they do that. I mean, it's become very apparent that they're completely irrelevant when it comes to their opinion and how it affects the world.
Yeah, that's what Skylar Fiction thought too. So yeah. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
just be prepared for it.
I get what you're saying.
If you don't care, I'm just saying. Yeah, it'll probably, like my brother and I, like Jill and Praise would do things, and they would address something that my brother and I were criticizing of them, and next thing you know, you got the two inbred conjoined twins or whatever up there as a thumbnail and shit, or the walking fecal bags and all that kind of shit. Yeah, we got all that.
They're already accusing me of threatening them in the side chat and taking screenshots of it, but I didn't threaten them with anything except for doing streams on them, showing their own behavior and making fun of it.
Well, this is
I did that too.
Well, this is the same thing before I had to leave, and I have to apologize to Gur that I was getting a little bit let me just say, for lack of a better term, Leo there. When he was like attacking the character of Muhammad, right? If Muhammad, and one of the things I wanted to tell him was, if Muhammad was around today and you knew that he was diddling a 6-year-old, and then he told you while you're standing out in the middle of the street, watch out for that bus. If it hits you, it'll kill you. And you go, fuck you, dude. Nothing you say is true. You fuck kid, bam. And you get hit. See what I mean? Right.
Genetic fallacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, I definitely want to talk to you about, like, I hold now the position that I can say for sure that I can defend, that I can say there is no God.
What I would recommend you guys do, if you guys are interested in any way, shape, or form in like theological, like batting back and forth with theology with some of these guys, look into Christologies. Get into like look into some soteriology, eschatology, and especially Christology, and you will find that if one Christian has a particular, you still see it on Praise's channel. You still see the OSAS versus conditional, right, salvation kind of thing going on. That's a differing opinion on soteriology, and that will divide a room of Christians depending on the Christians that are in, or those particular believers in a stream very quickly. I've seen it happen. It's hilarious. And then when you start asking them about, like, okay, what do you think about this particular Christology, or what do you think about this one, or what do you think about this one, which one do you hold to? It becomes it becomes even confusing. They don't even have it narrowed down. Like, how did God save us? What exactly was going on when Christ saved us? What was going on there, right?
Jason, Jay, whenever you say soteriology, I have to ask you, which soter in history are we talking about? I mean, we're talking about the various Ptolemies, some members of the Seleucid Empire. I mean, there were a lot of soters out there.
No, soteriology is
I'm kidding, bro. I know what it is.
Okay,
I'm just fucking with you.
I was like,
that's a big brain joke.
there
Okay,
was
cool.
a lot of people with that title in antiquity.
I'm sorry. I missed the joke.
I know because you don't have
Because
He's
edible.
a
I'm
robot.
because I'm-
Jay
You're
is a
funner-
fucking robot.
Jay
Jay-
Panic.
Jay and I had like a 4-hour conversation one night until my phone went dead. Jay, you and me. off stream.
Yeah.
Who?
When I
Me?
yeah,
You.
and I scared you with my gun.
You didn't scare me. It was a pretty small gun.
Dude,
Wow.
you'll
I
feel
missed
it.
this stream.
Look, throw shade at a man, but throw shade at a man's firearm.
No, it's an inside. It's an no. I'm not gonna get.
Fighting words.
No. I was joking. It's an inside. It's
Yeah.
between Pat and me. It's fine.
Yeah, and I did take Jay into the bat cave and scared him.
No, there was
You're
some
fulfilling all
there
my
was
expectations of Americans.
there was
right
some
now.
blatant irresponsibility.
Right.
There was some
Yeah.
blatant irresponsibility on my part. But that's
It's all
beside the point.
good. It's all
yeah.
good. Yeah, Jay and I bonded. That's all I'm gonna say.
But it was an off. It wasn't an on air. It wasn't live.
Oh,
It was an off air thing. So
That's true.
Sure. Looking it up
Gerd's
now.
about to end the stream. I'm
Yes.
just reading what you're saying.
Well, I just
No,
want
I
to wanted to jump in and say, Gerd, thanks for having a great stream. As always,
Yeah, thanks.
the reason I came in was to let you know that my wife thinks you're a maniac.
That's fair.
Grr.
Let me tell you, this stream started today, and we were in the car, and I put it popped up, and she goes,
6 hours
okay,
ago.
yep. Then we went shopping.
I'm laughing.
Then we went to dinner.
Gerst is
Then we
taking after
then
me,
we
Pat.
then we came home.
Fuck you.
You were still on. Then we did laundry, and then after laundry, we put all the linens out, and you were still like we did all kinds of housework, traveling, and errands a day, and your stream was present through
That
the
was
entire
awesome.
thing. Like
This is awesome.
yep, it was amazing, and she's just like, "Does he ever stop?" And I'm like,
That was
"No,
awesome. You
He's
just,
the
I said
Energizer
it.
Bunny."
I
of-
tried to
sorry.
stop him.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
I just said it, and then fucking Gerd just real quick. Fuck you. That was great. That was
No,
fucking
Ger's
aw-
awesome. Yeah.
That was best. That was the best timing
Snuck it
ever
in
to
there.
that. He's just taking after me, and fuck you.
Yes,
Um,
you can replay it. Listen, as a professional streamer, I must go now. I do appreciate all of you.
Thanks, Ger.
No, thank you. And Pat, tell your wife I'm.
You are a
sorry,
maniac, bro.
maybe? Yeah, well, that's actually
Dedicated.
even better.
Dedicated and passionate.
I want to say dedicated, but it's just no life, really. That's what it pulls down to.
Real quick, girl. I would like to. I don't want to keep you or anything, but when you take it off air, I'd like to
God damn
just throw something out at you real quick. Just real quick.
Fine.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Bye,
Anybody?
everybody. Thank you so
Uh,
much. I'm
see
going
you
to
later.
see you.
Mark, before you go, I do want to
Yeah.
say, do you want to have that conversation though? About
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure, like, because I agree. I think I'm sort of in the hard atheist camp. I think I believe there is no God. So
Yep.
I
Same
don't
here.
know. Yeah.
So, Ger, what is the timestamp? How long has it been
I
going?
think we're on the same page.
6
Yeah,
hours.
we're on the
and
same
12
page.
minutes.
Like, it wouldn't be much of a disagreement. I mean,
Right.
I have to talk about it, Corey, but it wouldn't be a disagreement. I'd probably agree with everything you say.
I
I legit had no idea I was going.
I
for
thought
this.
you were
6
going to.
hours.
So
And
No,
Mark's-
not at all.
And Mark's too much of a prima donna to stick around with us plebeians after.
I know. He's like, oh,
I'm trying to
going
be-
off air.
I'm trying to
Bye.
support Ger because Ger's not going to end until we all get off, right? He's going to say he's going to end, but he's not.
No,
actually
nobody
gonna
needs
do
to be
it.
around when Ger gets off, Mark. Come on.
All right, well,
yeah,
I
we
mean,
need to
a
leave.
man can dream,
He
Jay.
needs
A
to
man
get his
can
girl.
dream.
I know. I'm sorry.
Good.
I
Go
couldn't
to
help
bed.
it. I
Good night,
apologize.
Seriously.
everybody. All right.